August 17th, 1981. Just after sundown. A two-family house on East 58th Street in Flatlands, Brooklyn. Dominic Napolitano walked through the front door, was led toward the basement, and never came back up. Two men were waiting at the bottom of the staircase. Frank Lino was one of them. Before Sonny Black could turn around, he was pushed. He tumbled down the steps. The first .38 caliber round went off, then another. Witnesses inside the house later told investigators that Napolitano, bleeding on the concrete floor, looked up at his killers and said one final sentence, "Hit me one more time and make it good." Then they did. This was not a street soldier. This was a made capo regime in the Bonanno crime family, a captain, a man who controlled one of the most active crews in Brooklyn, ran the Motion Lounge on Withers Street, and just months earlier had been one of the rising powers of the entire New York underworld. Sonny Black was 51 years old. He had silver hair that turned premature white, hence the nickname. He wore tailored suits. He moved with the calm of a man who had survived 3 decades in a business that buried most men by 40. And on the night he died, he did not beg. He did not run. He walked into that basement because he already knew. This is the story of the man Donnie Brasco left behind. The captain who vouched for an FBI agent opened his entire world to him and was butchered for it while the agent walked away to write books and consult on movies. This is what happened in the 11 months between the day Joseph Pistone disappeared and the day Sonny Black was thrown down those basement stairs. You know what almost nobody talks about? The fact that the Mafia did not kill Sonny Black because he was stupid. They killed him because he had done everything right by their own rules, and those rules destroyed him. Let's go back. Dominic Napolitano was born June 16, 1930, in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. His parents came from Naples. He grew up in a neighborhood where the loan shark on the corner was somebody's uncle, and the bookmaker behind the candy store was somebody's cousin. By the time Dominic was a teenager, the choice was already made for him. He was in the streets. He was running errands for older guys. He was learning the only trade that paid in his world. He came up under the Bonanno family, which at that time was run by Joseph Bonanno himself, one of the original 5 bosses who built the modern Mafia in 1931. What set young Dominic apart was something simple. He listened. He did not run his mouth. While other guys were trying to look like gangsters, he was studying how the older men actually moved. By his 30s, his hair had gone prematurely silver. The crew started calling him Sonny Black. The name stuck for life. He got made sometime in the 1970s. The exact ceremony date is not public. What is documented is that by 1979, he had been promoted to capo regime, and he had inherited a Brooklyn crew based out of a social club called the Motion Lounge at 420 Graham Avenue in Williamsburg. He lived in an apartment directly above it. He woke up, walked downstairs, and was at work. His crew included names like Benjamin Lefty, Ruggiero, Nicholas Santora, Anthony Mira, and a few dozen associates who ran everything from numbers to hijackings to loan sharking. Sonny Black was respected. He was feared. He was also, by the standards of the Bonanno family in 1979, a man on the way up, and then Donnie Brasco walked into his life. Here's what you have to understand about the FBI in the 1970s. They had been chasing the Mafia for 40 years and had almost nothing to show for it. J. Edgar Hoover spent most of his career denying the Mafia even existed. By the time Hoover died in 1972, the Bureau was finally taking organized crime seriously, but they had no insiders. No infiltration. Every conviction came from outside the wall. Then came a 37-year-old agent from Erie, Pennsylvania, named Joseph Dominic Pistone. Pistone had grown up Italian-American, spoke the language, understood the culture, and looked the part. In September of 1976, he was assigned to go under as a small-time jewel thief named Donnie Brasco. The plan was supposed to last 6 months. It lasted nearly 6 years. By 1977, Brasco had attached himself to the Colombo family through a low-level associate. By 1978, he was being shopped around. And eventually, through a series of introductions, he landed in the orbit of Lefty Ruggiero, a soldier in the Bonanno family who worked under Sonny Black. Lefty was a degenerate gambler, a lifelong wise guy, and a man whose ego made him easy to flatter. Brasco played him perfectly. He listened to Lefty's complaints. He laughed at Lefty's jokes. He brought in enough scores to look legitimate. Lefty took him under his wing. And here is where Sonny Black's story turns tragic. Because in the Mafia, when a soldier sponsors someone, that someone becomes the responsibility of the soldier's captain. Lefty was Sonny Black's guy, which made Donnie Brasco, by extension, Sonny Black's guy. By 1980, Sonny had personally taken an interest in Brasco. He liked the kid. He thought Donnie was sharp, quiet, earned good money, did not run his mouth. He started pulling Donnie away from Lefty and bringing him closer to himself. Sonny set him up on jobs. Sonny vouched for him to other captains. Sonny brought him into Florida operations. The crew was running out of Kings Court Bottle Club in Holiday, Florida. And by late 1980, something extraordinary was happening. Sonny Black was preparing to propose Donnie Brasco for full membership in the Bonanno family. Let me explain what that means. To become a made man in the American Mafia, you must be 100% Italian on your father's side, you must be sponsored by an existing made member, and you must have what they call your bones, meaning you must have killed for the family. By 1981, the books were technically closed across most of the 5 families. But Bonanno boss Philip Rastelli, who was in prison, was preparing to open them again. Sonny had Brasco on the short list. The plan was straightforward. Brasco would be given a contract. He would carry it out. He would be inducted. The contract Sonny gave him was the assassination of Anthony Bruno in Delicato, the son of Alphonse Sonny Red in Delicato. To understand why that contract existed, you have to understand the Bonanno family war. By 1981, the Bonanno family was tearing itself in half. On one side, you had 3 captains: Alphonse Sonny Red in Delicato, Philip Philly, Lucky Giacani, and Dominic Big Trin Trinchera. Trinchera weighed over 350 pounds. They were aligned with the old guard, and they wanted control of the family, while Rastelli was locked up. On the other side, you had Joseph Big Joey Massino and his loyalists. Sonny Black was aligned with Massino. The 2 factions had been circling each other for over a year. On May 5th, 1981, the war ended in one afternoon. The 3 captains were lured to a sit-down at a social club on 13th Avenue in Brooklyn. They were told it was a peace meeting. It was an ambush. Massino loyalists came out of a closet with shotguns and pistols. In Delicato, Giaconi, and Trinchera were shot to death in seconds. Sonny Black was one of the men in that room. He helped clean it up. He helped move the bodies. The 3 capos murder, as it became known, eliminated the rival faction in a single stroke and left Massino's side, including Sonny Black, in control of the family. But there was a loose end. Bruno in Delicato, the son of Sonny Red, had escaped the slaughter. He went into hiding, and the family wanted him dead. Sonny Black gave that contract to Donnie Brasco. The FBI was now in an impossible position. Their agent had been ordered to commit a murder. He could not refuse, because refusing meant exposure. He could not carry it out, because he was an FBI agent. The Bureau decided to pull him. In late July of 1981, Joseph Pistone was extracted. The story they gave to the street was that Donnie Brasco had vanished, disappeared. Maybe dead, maybe a rat. Nobody knew. Sonny Black was confused, but not yet alarmed. He sent word out trying to find him. He told Lefty that Donnie better turn up because there were questions to answer. He never imagined the answer. On July 28, 1981, 2 FBI agents knocked on the door of the Motion Lounge. They sat down with Sonny Black. They told him plainly, Donnie Brasco was Special Agent Joseph D. Pistone of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He had been undercover inside his crew for almost 6 years. Every conversation, every introduction, every job. The FBI had it. They had tapes. They had photographs. They had testimony. Sonny Black sat there. He did not blink. He did not raise his voice. He listened to the agent's finish, and then he said, simply, "You got me." He thanked them for telling him personally. He stood up. He shook their hands, and he walked them to the door. You know what that handshake actually was? It was the handshake of a man who had just been told he was already dead. Because Sonny Black understood the rules better than anyone. In the American Mafia, bringing a federal agent into a crew is not a mistake. It is not a failure. It is treason against the family, whether you knew or not. The crew captain is responsible. The captain proposed him. The captain vouched for him. The captain almost made him. There was no defense. There was no appeal. The only question was when. And here is where the story gets brutal. Because Sonny Black did not run. He had options. He could have gone to the FBI. He could have taken witness protection. He was the highest-ranking Mafia member they had ever flipped against in real time, and they would have rolled out the carpet. The agents who broke the news to him essentially offered. Sonny refused. He told them, "I have to face this." That was his code. For 19 days, Sonny Black lived inside the longest goodbye in Mafia history. He kept showing up at the Motion Lounge. He kept meeting with his crew. He kept reporting to Messino. Everyone now knew. The whole family knew. Other families knew. The contract on his life had been issued the moment the news traveled up to the commission. He was a dead man walking, and he walked anyway. What he did during those 19 days tells you everything about who he actually was. He started settling his affairs, quietly. He took his jewelry off his fingers and his neck. The pinky rings, the chains, the watches he had collected over 30 years in the life. He gave them to his favorite bartender at the Motion Lounge, a young woman who worked the bar below his apartment. He left his billfold. He left the keys to his apartment. He left small amounts of cash with people he cared about. He told nobody that he was about to die. He just made sure that the people he loved would have something to remember him by. He did not call his ex-wife and warn her. He did not write a letter. He did not flinch. He did not do anything that would suggest to a watching family that he was afraid, because fear would have been the final disgrace. On August 17th, 1981, Sonny Black got the call. He was told to come to a meeting in Flatlands. The pretext does not even matter. Everyone in the room knew. The address was a two-family house on East 58th Street, belonging to a Bonanno associate named Ronald Filicomo. Sonny took the trip. He arrived. He greeted the men inside. He was led toward the staircase to the basement. Frank Lino was waiting. Frank Coppa, another Bonanno-made man, was reportedly part of the operation. So was Stephen Stefanelli. At the top of the stairs, Sonny was pushed. He tumbled down. Lino opened fire. The first round struck him. He was on his back, looking up at the man holding the gun, and according to court testimony that came out years later when these men flipped, Sonny said, "Hit me one more time and make it good." He did not beg. He did not bargain. He gave his executioners a final instruction: make it clean. Lino emptied the revolver. Sonny Black was dead before the sound finished echoing off the basement walls. His body did not surface for nearly a year. On August 12th, 1982, almost exactly 12 months after his murder, a body was found at the intersection of South Avenue and Bridge Street in Arlington, Staten Island. Stuffed into a hospital body bag, dumped in a creek. The corpse's hands had been severed at the wrists. The face was so badly decomposed that visual identification was impossible. Dental records were used. It was Sonny Black. The severed hands were not random. In the Mafia, when a captain knowingly or unknowingly brings a betrayer into the family, the punishment for the handshake, the embrace, the act of vouching, is to remove the hands themselves. It was a message, not just to Sonny, to every captain in every family. This is what happens when you bring the wrong man into the room. So what happened to everyone else? Joseph Pistone walked away from the assignment with a target on his back. The Mafia placed a $500,000 contract on his life. He testified in trial after trial throughout the 1980s. His evidence led directly to more than 200 indictments and over 100 convictions across the 5 families. He retired from the FBI in 1986. He wrote the book Donnie Brasco. He consulted on the 1997 film starring Johnny Depp and Al Pacino. He has lived under various names and protections ever since. Lefty Ruggiero, the man who first brought Donnie into Sonny's world, was arrested before he could be killed. The FBI got to him just hours before his own crew was about to. He was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. He died of cancer in 1994. Joseph Massino, the man who almost certainly approved Sonny Black's murder, rose to become the official boss of the Bonanno family by 1991. He ran it for over a decade. Then in 2004, facing life in prison, Massino became the first sitting boss of a New York family to flip and cooperate with the federal government. The man who had Sonny Black killed for the appearance of betrayal became, in the end, the biggest betrayer in Bonanno history. Frank Lino, the trigger man, flipped in 2003. He admitted to the Sonny Black murder under oath. He testified against Massino. He went into witness protection. Bruno Indelicato, the original target of Donnie Brasco's contract, was eventually arrested. He served decades in prison. He survived everyone. The Motion Lounge at 420 Graham Avenue was eventually closed. The building still stands. The neighborhood gentrified around it. Tourists walk past it every day without knowing what happened in those rooms. And here is the part nobody likes to say out loud. The Mafia killed Sonny Black not because he failed, because he succeeded. He did exactly what a captain was supposed to do. He vouched for a man his soldier brought to him. He vetted him. He used him. He prepared to make him. By every rule of the life, he had followed protocol. The system worked exactly as it was designed. The system just happened to be designed by men who could not imagine that the FBI would put one of their own inside for 6 years and make him invisible. Sonny Black's death was not punishment for a mistake. It was punishment for a world that had changed without him. You know what the movie Donnie Brasco gets right and what it gets wrong? It gets the friendship right. Lefty really did love Donnie. Sonny really did trust him. The scene where Lefty leaves his jewelry on the dresser before his last meeting, that detail was borrowed from what Sonny Black actually did. The movie gives that gesture to Lefty. In reality, Sonny lived it first. Sonny walked into death with his rings off and his keys on the bar, and his eyes open. The Mafia is often sold as a brotherhood, honor, loyalty, family. Sonny Black is the proof that none of it was ever real. The brotherhood killed him for trusting the brother they sent him. The honor demanded he stand still while they did it. The family disappeared, his body in a creek with his hands cut off. Dominic Napolitano spent 51 years building a name in a world that erased him in under 30 seconds at the bottom of a basement staircase. He died with 2 words on his lips: make it good. That was his last act of authority, telling his killer how to finish the job. That is the real story of Sonny Black. Not the supporting character in a Johnny Depp movie, not the cautionary footnote in the Pistone autobiography. A man who lived by a code that killed him for following it perfectly. A captain who took the bullet for an institution that never deserved his loyalty. If this story stayed with you, hit subscribe. We drop a new investigation every week. Drop a comment below. Who paid the higher price in the Donnie Brasco case? Sonny Black, who died for being lied to. Or Joe Pistone, who has spent 40 years looking over his shoulder. Tell me what you think.